What's up, people? ADS Play 101, World Warriors Collective. I'm just walking to work. These are just my little discussion videos that I'm making. Little idle chat videos that I think, can start good conversation no matter where you're at. And I was just thinking while I was walking, man, I hope nobody ever, even though I know eventually it's going to happen because of the way things go in the world, in this world, I'm just hoping nobody ever comes up with a term for people that likes to watch anime. As of right now, all we are known as is people that watch anime. That's it. And to a lesser extent, anime watchers. But they haven't come out with an actual term to define people that like to watch anime. You know what I'm saying? Like, I call myself an anime head. That's what I call myself. But that's just like my own thing. Because I'm always watching anime. It's not an anime I don't like. I just came across the Promised Neverland. That intro is dope. Nah, 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 nah. If you've seen the Promised Neverland, you know about that theme. That's a fire ass opening theme. That shit jamming. But other than that, I hope they never come out with a theme with a term to define people that watch anime. Because I see what they did for people that like to play video games and people that like to really play video games is really into it. They came out with this terminology called gamers. And if you've been watching me for like years, especially on my old ADS Play 101 channel, you guys know that I made several videos in regards as to why I hate that term. And just to summarize it, it's a commercialized term to try to group a bunch of people together that don't belong together, technically. You gotta understand, we come from a time where playing video games was considered a nerd thing to do. And low key, the jocks, because I'm a 90s baby, and it was always like the nerds versus the jocks. That was like that was the original beef back in school, the nerds versus the jocks. And it was always the people that played sports, like basketball, football, maybe lacrosse if motherfuckers was, but before that shit was invented, before that shit really blew up, or whatever school they played that shit at. Lacrosse is literally like the platypus of sports. You know how the platypus look like a mixture of like a beavis, like a beaver, a duck, and shit. You know what I mean? Lacrosse is basically that. It's such an amalgam mixture of other sports that it just looks funny. It looks funny to watch. They didn't literally mix soccer, hockey, and fucking football all in the same damn. That's amazing. But yeah, the way they came up with the term, it was always nerds versus jocks. The jocks were the guys that, would always quote unquote get the girls, so to speak, or rather get the girls' attention. All the cute girls or whatever. And the nerds, we were the guys that played video games. We played, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. If anybody still plays that, I don't know if people do. I stopped watching Pokemon, and playing Pokemon after after Black and White came out. That's when I stopped. No, it was after Black and White 2. Because then I noticed how it hit me how repetitive Pokemon was, and I kind of got turned off by it, so I don't really mess with it no more. But back then, Pokemon was like a big fucking deal. And I even remember they had like a little, it was like a little beef going on between the people that liked watching Digimon and people that liked watching Pokemon. It was like the people then the argument was always, I know this is a side note going off the topic, but the argument was always the people who chose Digimon over Pokemon always had the argument that you couldn't understand what the fuck the Pokemon were saying. Because they were always just repeating their names, basically. And then the argument that the people who like Pokemon over Digimon was always that they didn't like the names of the Digimon or how the names always ended in Mon. You know what I mean? That was literally like that was the beef going on. And then to counter, the Digimon, people who watch Digimon, they was like, okay, well, I prefer Digimon because, you know, at least you can understand what they're saying, and you know what I mean? It's not, the evolutions aren't permanent, you know what I mean, in Digimon per se. You know, so if you prefer like the cuter, smaller versions of this monster's self, they can always revert back to it. Whereas as in Pokemon, it's like, that's pretty much like a life-changing decision. And the Digimon people didn't like that. And the Pokemon people was like, you know, well, I ain't got to worry about my character getting weaker or anything. You know what I mean? Like, there was just like an ongoing beef, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it was the people who watch anime and cartoons and shit like that, they would always be like the geeks. They would be the nerds. They would be the motherfuckers that, you know what I'm saying, was into things that, anything that wasn't sports related, basic, or anything that was more so like fantasy related and things like that, the jocks was always hating on the nerds for it. But what's funny is that it's people that was in like the circle of the jocks, they always seem to have a good bit of people, and this is just life itself, this is a life lesson. You always got people in life that's gonna go against something when they really wanna be it. That's not always the case, but it's always gonna be a few in the opposition just to save face, because they don't know how to deal with the pressure of all that negativity coming towards them just for liking something that may be outside of the status quo per se. You know what I mean? Or out what's more so socially accepted. As far as TV shows, you know, anything else, lifestyles, you know, whatever the hell else, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about like TV shows and things like that. And hobbies. So yeah, so every now and then you would get like a couple jocks that would let it slip out that they nerds and shit. And they don't even, what's so funny is that they never realized that they were doing it. Like, for example, I remember I had this argument on a bus. It was like a debate or whatever. It's like people, like, they would make fun of the people who were watching like Digimon and Pokemon and watching like Final Fantasy animes at the time, or like, you know, Gundam Wing and shit like that. But then at the same time, these motherfuckers will tell you that they watching shows like Dragon Tail and fucking Transformers and shit. You know what I mean? Like Arthur and shit like that. Now, those are shows that we all grew up on. But at the same time, bro, come on. It don't get more nerdier than fucking watching Dragon Tales and fucking Arthur. You know what I mean? Like, and they tried to act like it was gangster and shit. Like, nigga, shut your ass up. You know damn well your ass sat down. And then you had the ones that try to act like they never watched Power Rangers before. If y'all can see the look on my face, y'all see the lights in the background, but y'all don't see me. Cause black on black is hard to see. Okay, never mind. But yeah, like it's just crazy. And I was just thinking, like, all that nonsense that we had to go through in the 90s, you know, for us that like to watch anime and shit and play video games, even in the early 2000s, it was still like that. And it was just really like a hard, I don't know. It was like all of a sudden people just, I don't know when it happened, but it happened around the time Bleach came out and Naruto and One Piece. Those were like the turning points to when anime really got mainstream. And what I mean by that is that it may not have hit like the, you know what I'm saying, like the mainstream, but amongst people that watch TV in general, that's when anime really starts to hit. And it seemed like more people became aware that anime is actually something cool to watch. You know what I mean? And so it's odd when you start seeing like females watching anime and things like that. Because we never known females to watch anime. Maybe some of y'all did where y'all from, but I'm from Louisiana. It wasn't too many females that was watching anime like that. It was only like the ones who were like lonely and desperate for some dick. Hey, I'm gonna be honest, some of them were lonely and desperate. And they were just accepting the fact that the dude that they wanted to be with or they thought that the nerd was cute or whatever, and or handsome, and they wanted to get with him. So they'll just tolerate the enemy and shit like that. You know what I mean? And then you had like the fucking skeezers who would just be like trying to just get information on like the guy so that the jocks can make more fun of them and shit. Like, you know what I mean? I remember they had one instance where a kid at my school, I don't remember when it happened, but I remember a kid making fun of, like, a girl went by his house or whatever, and they were supposed to like spend a night with each other or whatever the case like that. And the next day, she came and told, like, I guess the football or basketball guys that the dude had on Flintstone underwear or some shit. I don't know what the fuck happened. That shit was embarrassing. Like, I'm glad that shit wasn't me, bro. That shit, I mean, obviously I didn't have, like, I'm wearing actual briefs and boxers. Like, I ain't got no cartoon characters on them like that, but, you know what I mean? That's embarrassing, bro. Like, that's some skeezy ass shit, bro. That's some shit you really gotta slap a hoe for. Cause you purposely went out your way to fucking embarrass that man. That is fucked up, man. And then, like I said, when I notice shit like that, and when you go through shit like that, and you see shit like that, growing up, it's funny to me how you see advertisements on like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and shit of dudes rocking fucking 90s character, you know what I'm saying, boxers and shit. You know, they're advertising it for like people to buy and shit. And then you see people in the comments underneath these videos, and it's just like I don't know, bro. This shit is odd. So I'm hoping they never come out with a terminology, you know, for people that watch anime to try to group us all together. Like the people who've been watching this shit, you know, going through like the nonsense that we had to go through in that entire 90s era, early 2000s era, versus the people who just picked up fucking Bleach and Naruto. Man, I was messing with, dude. It was this girl I used to talk to. She literally told me that she liked Dragon Ball Z. Sasuke Uchiha was one of her favorite characters in the show. I would like to say that was the reason why we stopped talking, but it wasn't. But this is what I mean when I say people be faking. And it's just, I don't want to be grouped up with people like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, of course, the people in the know are never going to accept the people like that. But just to have to deal with people like that, you know what I mean? We already got to deal with people that think they're good at playing fighting games and shit when they never played fighting games. Because fighting games is easily one of like the fighting games are the toughest video games to play. I don't care what anybody says. Fighting games are literally the toughest games to play because not only do you have to learn the mechanics of the game itself, you have to learn how to do your combos with the character that you like to play, and you also have to do research on how they match up against other characters in the game. That takes research and dedication that a lot of people don't have and don't want to invest in. So that's why I say fighting games are the most elite video games out there. You know, it is. And I'm going to stand by that to the day I die, because it is. You know what I'm saying? But then you got people that's like playing games like Street Fighter V, knowing how bad that game is, thinking they good because they got these quote-unquote revenge mechanics and shit in the game. And it's just really one of those what the fuck moments. They're just like, damn. And then there's supers in Tekken now. They put supers in Soul Calibur. It's just like it's just like this thing where it's just like, it don't make sense for games to be this damn bad. And now they're coming out with One Punch Man, and people who played the open beta, you know, you see a bunch of people. I'm trying so hard not to say their names, because normally I like to call people out, but you know, YouTube policies and all this shit, and Twitch, they got these policies out now where they're considering that slander against a specific person, and they don't allow that. So like, because of that, I'm just like, but I love calling people out on their bullshit, and they know who they are. Anytime you see a video on YouTube that says that One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows, is going to be great, or they like the game, they full of shit. They don't play fighting games. They play these anime arena fighters, and they think that defines what a fighting game really is. You know what I'm saying? They don't play Street Fighter. They don't play Mortal Kombat. They don't play Tekken. They don't play any video game that or they haven't been playing those games before they started putting the supers in there. Because Soul Calibur never had supers. They had unblockables. Same thing with Tekken. You know, they had unblockables, and that's what made the game unique. Apart from games like Street Fighter, but they took the Street Fighter route, and now it's just like I'm not even playing a different game now. They got these revenge mechanics, and you got people spamming supers and all this, and rage arts, and you know what I mean, critical arts, or whatever the fuck they want to call them. They spamming supers, and it's just like they get lucky, and all of a sudden they think they the shit. And Soul Calibur, something about that game never really grabbed my attention. I like the game, but it never grabbed my attention as much as Street Fighter or Tekken did. Because this ring out feature that they got in the game, to an extent, I like it. It adds something new and it gives Soul Calibur its own identity, but at the same time, it's like, it's one of those games that just like, you know, people bullshit a lot in fighting games, and that just gave them another way to just bullshit. So if they can find a cheap tactic to where they can just push you off the ledge, they're going to do it. It's just like, you're not really winning, you're just doing something cheap to get a cheap victory, and it's just, that doesn't define a fighting game to me. You know, so I don't know. You know, times are weird for people that like to watch anime. Like, you know, I don't know. It's just stupid. But yeah, man, that was my little rant video. I'm finna head in, clock in, get this night over with, and get back home and try to see what my next plan gonna be as far as like live streams and things like that. I will be purchasing Need for Speed Heat. I want to see how that is. I'm waiting to purchase Death Stranding because I want to see exactly what the reviews on it are. Because a lot of people had negative reviews about it, and I pay attention to things like that from trusted sources. I'm going to say trusted sources, not these people that get paid off by companies to say nice things about the game, but trusted sources to let me know if the game is good or bad or not. So I'm going to wait on that. But other than that, man, thank you guys for watching, whoever did. I'm going to get this channel back up to where it needs to be. I'm noticing that my ADS Play 101 channel, even though I haven't uploaded there in like months, it's just like people are still subbing to that channel. Like I look, like a couple months back, I looked at my channel subs on that ADS Play 101 channel, and it was at 2,100. I went back recently, and it's at like 2,300. The shit almost at 2,400. So I'm just like, dang, people are still subbing to that channel. Like they don't even realize that I'm not even uploading there anymore. I try to put like videos on there to try to like sway them to come over to the World Warriors Collective one. The link is even in the channel banner and on ADS Play 101 to get people to, you know, transfer over, but it's difficult, you know, but it is what it is, man. So again, thank you guys for watching. Peace, and I'll see you guys next time. Remember, be humble in victory, gracious in defeat, but show no mercy in battle. World Warriors Collective, ADS Play 101 out.